is the maize meal where it's processed from factories there. That they traditionally made. We eat these about 2 times in a day.
Famously called Africa's most fascinating tribe, Himba has been practically immune to modernization, technological civilization, and national laws. For over 2 centuries, this native settlement has been intentional about their religion and unique language. But what makes them seem strange to Westerners and tourists is their unusual cultural practices. From being clad in cattle skin and rubbed with bright red clay to having a signature aroma that drives all men crazy.
She can be ready for you.
She with my wife?
Yeah, she want to become your wife.
Just that easy?
Yeah, that's happened.
It happens.
The Himba women have recently made headlines. What about their scent is so unique and mind-blowing that every year the village records an all-time high of male tourists? Let's find out. One of Africa's most interesting tribes. About 500 years ago, the Herero people moved from Angola to a new home in the Kunene region, which is now part of a country called Namibia. This move is historic because it became the Herero people's first mention in history books. Before this, no one had substantial information about them. Many years after their migration, in the 1800s, tragedy struck. It was one the Himba people will always remember. In 1897, a rinderpest epidemic that affected cattle across southern Africa affected the Himba natives' herd, causing many of the cattle to die. This was a major issue that became the top priority of the Herero people, as they heavily relied on cows for food, clothes, and their livelihood. Because of this problem, the Herero people had to split into 2 groups to try to survive. One group, still called the Herero, moved to a new area to find food and safety. Over time, they changed a bit and adapted to their new home. The other group, called the Himba, decided to stay in their original home and maintain their traditional ways of life. They wanted to hold on to their customs and beliefs because they never saw a point in changing. Over the years, although the 2 groups split apart, they are both still recognized by their unique identities and ways of life. Both groups still speak the Herero language, but the Himba have developed their own unique way of speaking, known as otjize. Recent statistics show the Himba village has about 50,000 members. While this statistic is widely known, even in Western countries, what isn't is that the term Himba, commonly used by the Western world to refer to the Himba people, actually isn't the most accurate term. In fact, when translated from the Otji Herero language, Himba means beggar, which isn't a very fitting name for this proud and independent group. Instead, the correct term is Himba, which is how they refer to themselves, so try to remember that bit. Today, the Himba people continue to thrive in their traditional homeland, the Kunene region of Namibia, and across the border in Angola. They are a unique and special group known for their semi-nomadic way of life, which means they move seasonally with their animals to find grazing land. While there is a smaller subgroup of the Himba known as the Otjize, who are hunter-gatherers, the Himba are the last remaining group in Namibia to maintain this traditional pastoralist lifestyle. The Himba people have a special connection with the land and are very good at growing food, taking care of animals, and hunting. They are most skilled at raising cattle, which has helped them have a better life than others in the area. But from 1979 to 1982, there was a horrible, unexpected lack of rain that killed many of their animals and forced many Himba to look for paid work, search for food, and rely on help from others. This made history as their most challenging struggle as an independent village. That wasn't all they had to face. To make matters worse, around the same time, the Namibian War and Independence was going on between 2 groups, SWAPO and the South African Army, which made it hard for the Himba to move around, and many people got hurt by landmines. But when the war finally ended, the new government of Namibia made sure to help minority groups like the Ova Himba. They provided more resources for education and health care, which has made a big difference in the lives of the Ova Himba people. They now have better access to schools and medical care, which has improved their overall well-being. Besides cattle, the Ova Himba people raise other animals like fat-tailed sheep and goats. They grow crops like maize and millet in the rain, but they don't use irrigation. The animals are the primary food source for the Ova Himba, giving them milk and meat. They love to eat sour milk and a thick maize porridge called orahireruo mere, but sometimes they only have plain hard porridge because milk and meat can be hard to come by. The Ova Himba people also eat other foods like cornmeal, eggs from their chickens, wild herbs, and honey. They don't often sell their animals for money, but they might do it sometimes if needed. They prefer to keep their animals and use them for food and company. The Ova Himba people don't make much money from businesses or jobs, and they don't get much money from pensions or family members living elsewhere. Most of their money comes from working with animals and plants in particular areas called conservancies, from help from the government when they are older, and from aid when there is no rain. This money is used to buy things they need to survive during famines and droughts. Interestingly, the Ova Himba men and women like to wear clothes that are just perfect for the hot and dry climate of their region. They often wear skirts made from animal skins, like calves and sheep, or sometimes they wear skirts made from newer materials. They sometimes wear sandals, but their staple outfit is clothing that is ideal for their environment and comfortable in the hot sun. The Ova Himba women wear simple sandals made from the skin of cows, while the men wear sandals made from old car tires. The women also like to wear many necklaces and bracelets on their arms, made from beads from ostrich eggs, grass, cloth, and copper. They wear so many of these decorations that they weigh as much as 90 pounds. Women who have had babies wear a small bag made of skin on their back as part of their traditional clothes. The Ova Himba people's everyday lifestyle. The Ova Himba women are well known for putting a special paste called otjize on their skin. They make this paste by mixing butterfat and a special red color called ochre. They put this paste all over their bodies, and over the years, it has become one of the most important parts of their culture and tradition, even influencing their image by other tribes. So when you hear the red women right off the bat, think of the women in the Ova Himba village. The Ova Himba people love the otjize paste on their skin because it helps to keep it clean and healthy, mainly because they don't have enough water to wash with. You might be wondering how they get rid of their bodily dirt if they don't take typical showers, and you'll find out soon enough. Just keep watching. The otjize paste protects their skin from the hot sun and dry air in the Kaoko land, and keeps insects from biting them. The otjize paste makes their skin and hair look exceptional, with a unique texture and color that is often orange or red. It also smells pleasant because they add a special perfume made from the omuzumba shrub. Besides how clean it makes them feel, Ova Himba people love otjize because it makes them feel attractive. They think it's very important to look good, and otjize is their go-to for that. The red color of otjize reminds them of the earth and blood, both important symbols of life. So when they put otjize on their skin and hair, they feel like they're connecting with the natural world and showing off their beauty. Now, to their baths. Like everything else, even their bath time is strange, and it involves a smoke they make themselves. Ova Himba women only use water to clean their bodies on one special day in their lives, which is their wedding day. On other days, they use a smoke shower to clean themselves, and they do this inside their homes. They extract a sap called omumbiri from the Namibian myrrh tree to make their smoke showers. Before proceeding to take their smoke shower, the women get ready by mixing up their ochre paste. Then, they put this paste all over their bodies and hair. Next, they make a fire using coals and plant material, like leaves or small branches. They specially arrange the coals and plants to make smoke, but don't actually burn. This smoke is what the women use to clean themselves. They first lift the container with the hot coals and smoke their upper body. They pay special attention to areas where germs grow, like under their arms, between their breasts, and under their chin. Then, they put the container back down and use a basket they've dedicated to direct the smoke to their lower body. They sit with their legs spread apart and the basket close to their body and cover themselves with a blanket. Finally, they lift the cloth that covers their private parts and let the smoke reach their entire lower body. They do this until they feel clean and fresh and feel good in their skin. Right after their shower, they proceed to their favorite body care product that has created their signature aroma. The women make special incense called the Namibian myrrh by burning shavings from wild sage or mopani wood in a fire they call the okaruwo. Keep this in mind because you'll hear this name later in the video. The women use the smoke from this incense as their perfume. The men in their lives love this scent the most about them. For boys' fashion, from the day they hit puberty, they keep one long braid in their hair, but girls have many braids made special with otjize paste. Some of these braids are worn in a way that covers their face. Most of the time, the braids are tied back and away from their face. When girls grow up and get married, or when they have a baby, they are made to wear a headpiece called erembe. This headpiece is made from sheepskin and has many braids attached to it, which are colored and shaped with otjize paste. The erembe headpiece is decorative and unique, showing that the woman has grown up and started her own family. The braids on the erembe are carefully made and arranged, and they are a symbol of beauty and strength. The otjize paste helps to keep the braids looking healthy and shiny, and it also has a deep traditional meaning for the Ova Himba people. They use otjize to show their connection to the earth and their culture. That's not all. The women in the Ova Himba tribe are considered the most beautiful and are known for their unique hairstyles and jewelry. They take great care in styling their hair and adorning themselves with special accessories. The men see them as queens and often celebrate their beauty and elegance with cultural praise. The Ova Himba people value beauty and take great pride in their appearance, as the women are at the center of this tradition. Meanwhile, as the boys grow to become unmarried young men, they continue to sport that one long braid in their hair, and it goes down to the back of their head as their hair grows. But when they get married, they start wearing a special cap or head wrap, and they no longer braid their hair. If a man's wife passes away, he is expected to take off his cap or head wrap and let his hair naturally go back to its natural state. Remember, the Ova Himba people have a hard time getting water, so they use ash from wood fires to clean their hair instead. When an Ova Himba girl becomes a young woman, she is made a small group member and has to leave her village for a short while. During this period, she is taken care of by the other women in her group. They take her to a designated enclosure, where she can be protected and guided during this important time. This is when she has her first period. The women in her group give her many gifts to celebrate the womanly milestone and teach her about her childbearing responsibility. They help her prepare for her new mothering role in the community, and eventually, they present her to the spirits. This is a grand ceremony, meaning she is now considered a grown woman, ready to get married. To show this, they put a special leather crown on her head. This crown is proof to other natives of the village of her new status, and it basically means she's now a part of the group of women who are respected and admired in her community. Young Ova Himba boys, on the other hand, often leave their villages to take care of cattle at distant places. Sometimes, they even go to towns to find work or have another wife or partner. Because of this, many Ova Himba women stay in their villages all the time, including the young girls back from their childbearing lessons, doing their daily tasks without the help of men. They become very independent and can take care of themselves and their families without the support of men. Many Ova Himba women also raise their children on their own, without the help of the children's fathers, whether the children are legitimate or not. Why was legitimacy brought up? Well, a scientific genetic study was done in 2020 on a semi-nomadic group living near the border of Angola. The study used special tests to analyze their genes, and the tests had some interesting results. The researchers found that almost half of the children in the group were illegitimate. The study also found that most couples, more than 70%, had at least one child who someone outside of the marriage fathered. But here's what's surprising. The parents in the group were well aware of illegitimate children. The mothers knew which children weren't their husbands. Their guesses were spot on, with the mothers being right 72% of the time, while the fathers guessed correctly 73% of the time. Thankfully, Himba women are not alone in raising both their legitimate and illegitimate children when their husbands are away, as other women in the village support them. The women in the village work together to take care of each other's children, including teaching them important skills and values. This way, the children grow up strong, healthy, and aware of their tribe's values, with or without their fathers. The natives' relationship with outsiders. The Himba people view their settlement as highly independent, so only people invited or accepted to pay a visit before their visitation are allowed to enter. They take this rule so seriously that there is even a sacred line that runs from the main entrance to the chief's hut, past the holy fire, and to the cattle enclosure. Outsiders are not allowed to cross this line. The obvious downside of the Himba people not interacting with people from outside their village often is that they find it hard to adapt to modern life. They feel confused and out of place each time they communicate with tourists, self-aware that they don't fit in, but this doesn't mean they are not welcoming to visitors. In fact, hospitality is very important to them. Sometimes Himba men even offer one of their wives to a guest as a gesture of kindness. The guest will spend the night with the wife, while the husband will respectfully stay outside. In the last decade, the Himba people's interactions with outsiders, especially people from Western countries for research and exploration purposes, have had some horrible consequences.
She says that you can travel together.
One of the worst effects is that alcohol is now predominantly available in their village. Bars have been built, and alcohol is being sold, which is harming almost everyone in the village, including older people and children, as the villagers do not have alcohol consumption age limits or regulatory laws regarding the sale of alcohol. This has dramatically changed the way the Himba people have always lived. They are finding it hard to keep their traditional way of life going with the addictive indulgence of alcohol taking over the minds of their young boys. Alcohol isn't the only thing ruling the Himba people. They are obsessively guided by religion, and it's not the contemporary ones you're used to. The Himba people believe in one god named Mukuru, and they also believe that everything in nature has a spirit. They think their ancestors are still with them in spirit, and they honor them with a holy fire that is always burning, called okuruwo. They view this fire as ancestral fire, and they believe it helps directly connect the living with the dead. They also believe that their animals are sacred, and that God, the ancestors, and the animals are all connected and important to their daily lives. The Himba people also believe in something called omiti, which is like a special kind of power that some people have. We might call it witchcraft, but to them, it's neither bad nor evil. Instead, they view it as a powerful force that some people can use to heal others. The Himba believe that traditional healers have this power, and they are highly respected for it. Remember the women's signature perfume and fire called okuruwo we talked about earlier in the video? Well, next to the okuruwo they get the aromatic smoke from is always a huge stone with wood ready to keep the fire burning. Not only is this fire the source of their aroma, but it is also their connection to the spirits they believe in. The person in charge of the fire called the fire keeper. visits this sacred ancestral fire about once a week to talk to God, whom they call Mukuru, and their ancestors. They talk to their ancestors whenever Mukuru is busy and cannot respond. The fire keeper uses the smoke from the fire to send messages to Mukuru and the ancestors. They believe the smoke carries their words to the heavens, where Mukuru and the ancestors can hear them. The Ova Himba people also have a leader, called a headman, who sits by the Okoruwo and talks to their ancestors about their problems. The headman's wife takes a small piece of the fire, called an ember, into their hut at night, and the following day, they use it to restart the sacred fire. Unlike in the case of their recent drinking problem, the Ova Himba people have some rules to protect the sacred fire. They don't allow strangers to walk between the fire and the headman's hut, or between the fire and the place where they keep their animals. In fact, the headman's hut is the only one that faces the fire. All the other huts face away from the fire. The headman is pretty much a leader who takes care of all the spiritual and cultural business for the Ova Himba people. This includes making sure marriages happen in proper accordance with their tradition. Marriage is a huge deal in Ova Himba culture. So many customs accompany it. You might be wondering what happens when an Ova Himba person gets married and how their marital laws were formed in the first place. It all started after their historic migration. The elders in the community helped arrange marriages between young natives who had come of age. When a man was ready to get married, he needed to speak with his parents and other high-ranking people in the community about his intentions so he could get their advice and permission. Then, the man's parents and the woman he wanted to marry proceeded to talk about the details of the marriage. To finalize things, they decided on what the intended groom would give to the woman's family as a gift, or what we call a bride, which was usually animals like cows or goats. This process has been practiced ever since and is still a tradition for the Ova Himba people. The Ova Himba people have a wild celebration when a native gets married. Their marriage ceremonies are usually one of the books with many rituals and traditions. On the wedding day, the bride wears traditional jewelry and a stunning dress made from animal skin. The whole community celebrates the wedding with cultural music, dancing, and native food. During research explorations, Westerners have noticed polygamy is a prominent practice in Ova Himba marriages, so it's second nature for Ova Himba men to have more than one wife. This is because the Ova Himba people think it's very important to have as many children as humanly possible. They believe that having a big family is helpful because there are more people to help with chores and take care of animals. The Ova Himba tribe also has some special traditions regarding raising their children. Boys are circumcised before they reach puberty, and once they get married, they are considered men. Girls, on the other hand, are not considered women until they have had their first child. In Ova Himba families, men have important roles. They protect the tribe and provide food and shelter for their families. Women also have their responsibilities, which are mainly taking care of the children and the home, making sure they are well fed, cleaned, and happy. They also help resolve pressing familial issues and ensure the home is peaceful. The women of the Ova Himba tribe are the strongest and most active, considerably more than the men and boys. They do countless daily physical tasks, including carrying water, fixing leaks in and on their clay houses, collecting firewood, taking care of plants, milking animals, cooking meals, and raising children. They are very skilled and hardworking, and they find time to make beautiful things like jewelry, crafts, and clothes. They also make the iron bracelets they wear on their arms. The ankles are considered the most private part of an Ova Himba woman's body, so they cover them with a sleeve of iron bracelets. Do you hope to try the Ova Himba women's special aroma sometime or one day get permission to visit the village? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next updates. Also, Click the next video on your screen to enjoy more exciting content.